Yeah. So the question is, I talked a number of weeks ago about a theology of creativity and how imagination actually helps us sometimes understand truth. We know this when we give an analogy. An analogy is not a logical formulation. It's a drawing a comparison or extrapolating from one thing to another, such that the mind goes, "Oh, this thing has these traits. Like I get it." Right? It's not a logical theorem. It's an analogy. It uses imagination. So imagination can help with regard to truth. And you brought up, what about somebody whose imagination goes too far and it's actually destructive because it leads them away from truth, being paranoid, conspiracy theories, and those kinds of things. And I think we just have to define or make a distinction between truth and something that has a capacity. So imagination is a tool that has inherent capacities or potentials within it, okay? That pointed one way can help us understand truth, pointed another way will lead us away from truth. Money has the capacity to be good, or the love of money has the potential to be bad. It's neutral until it's used either for good or for bad. Sex can be used for good or for bad. I mean, so certain things are neutral. They're tools. They can be used in multiple different ways. But until you actually use it, you don't know if it's being used well or poorly. Okay? If it's being used well, it's real easy. Wow, you have a great imagination, and and in all of that, you seem to be able to really grab hold of elements of truth and even be able to distill those down or communicate those to other people. C.S. Lewis had this, right? So he had a mother write him one time and says, "My son loves Aslan more than Jesus. What do I do?" And Lewis says, "Don't do anything. What your son loves is Jesus." And it's all the attributes of Jesus. It just looks like it's a lion, not Jesus. Now, as he grows older, what will burn away, the dross that'll burn away, is the furry mane, and what'll be left is the person, the character of Aslan, the vibe, the heart, the awesomeness. And so Lewis says, listen, you don't have to do anything. Your kid's actually connecting ultimately with what's beautiful of Christ, right? So Lewis knew how to use it. When someone has that gift of using imagination to help refine truth, I think you affirm it, you encourage it, you do all those kinds of things. When somebody is going wrong with it, somebody needs to sit them down and say, "You said this, look what actually happened to be true, and you were wrong. This was not healthy or helpful." And after a certain number of instances, somebody that's more mature or a counselor or whatnot has to say, there's a tendency, a growing tendency, for your imagination to lead you into error. And so something's not healthy in that. So how do we talk about checks and balances on your imagination? For you to come out of that place and find extra data or ground yourself in things rather than letting your imagination run wild or go crazy with you, right? So like in anything, cause effect over a period of time, you just say, look, this thing isn't helping you. It's a challenge that you have. Yeah, there's other good sides, but in this area, it's a difficulty. So how do we help govern that thing, train it, create extra filters like wise people or counselors or whatever it might be so that you don't get led into error. Now, I once knew a children's director that had it in the bylaws that you weren't allowed to do anything imaginative because this particular children's director thought truth was only expressed in the cold hardness of truth. And so everything had to be exactly how it was supposed to be, sans the imagination, you know. And I think that can happen from a distance where we just go, look, it's unwieldy, so let's just kill the thing itself, imagination, and let's just shoot straight, you know. And I think if that's done in society or done with children, we really do a disservice because I think there's something beautiful about the imagination of kids, about the immediacy of how they can grab hold of things, about how they can extrapolate from an Aslan to a Jesus and go, oh, I get it, you know. I think that's one of the reasons why they can look with childlike faith on a father and go, I know he loves me. Whereas adults, we have to sit there and wrestle with that, in some different kind of way. So I think imagination is something God gives to kids. We don't have to train it, it's there. And I think it can be nurtured in a healthy way. And that's the part of a theology of creativity I'm excited about, is how do we be a part of that story. So hopefully that helps.